Well, good morning, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It is the 28th of December. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas. If you like countdowns, you only have 3 days, 14 hours, 10 minutes, and 30 seconds until 2021. So, again, something to look forward to if you're looking for a new year. If you're looking for really cold weather in the U.S., you might have to look elsewhere because the polar vortex is splitting up here, and that's what you'd like to see if you like brutally cold weather. But that's heading toward China, Siberia, parts of Russia, Japan. Now, as this again spills out into a little bit of the Pacific Ocean, it does mean the upstream conditions from the U.S. West Coast will be getting cooler. So again, but the real heart of the cold there is going to be in China and Japan here over the next couple weeks as this polar vortex splits a bit. Looking at last week here on the retail calendar here, 20 through 26 December, here in the U.S. we were about 5.4 degrees colder than last year, coldest in 4 years. Still a little bit above average, 5% wetter than last year, 13th wettest in 35 years, above average on that front. Snowfall up a bit, 155% over last year, most in 3 years, but again, that's still a little bit below average, 18th least in 35 years. Canada, pretty flat to last year, so similar conditions. Europe, about 3.1 degrees colder. Russia, 3.7 degrees colder. China, flat, again, same as last year, but again, pretty cool. Australia, really cold, 4 degrees down under for their summer, 4 degrees cooler, making it the coldest in 10 years down in Australia. So pretty widespread cold down there. India up a little bit, but still a little bit below normal actually in India. Brazil about 1.5 degrees cooler than last year, making it the coolest in 20 years. Looking at this week here across the U.S., 28 December through 3 January. Hard to believe we're saying 2021 already. Here in the U.S., we're going to see a warming trend in the eastern part of the country, but overall still about 5.3 degrees colder than last year, making it the coldest early start here in 3 years. Still 13th warmest in 35 years, so above average on the national front. Again, you can see that colder weather more toward the western U.S., and again, that's just the influence of the part of the polar vortex. Again, as it invades China and Japan and spilling out into the Pacific, it just means the upstream conditions in the Pacific are pretty cold for the West Coast folks. Precip front looking similar to last year, but very wet. Second wettest in 35 years. Another big system going through the central U.S. with snow. So snowfall 21% more than last year, most in 3, 11th most in 35 years, so above average on that front. Look at that snowfall system here in just a minute. Snow cover here this morning is on the light side. Again, we have to go all the way back to 2011, about 9 years ago, to see this least amount of snow on the ground. Only about 27% of us versus this time last year, 34% had snow on the ground. Average for this time of year is about 40. So again, the big year was back in, ironically, 2012, which was a record hot winter. But we had 64% snow coverage at this point in the season back in 12. So looking at this week here, again, system we're going to watch is going to come out of the Rocky Mountains, head into the plains, the Dakotas, Nebraska, then head into midweek into the upper Midwest, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin areas. Again, a good swath of 4 to 8 plus inches of snow. So a decent moderate snow event here. And that'll race into southeast Canada, bypassing the northeast here as we stay relatively mild and on the warm side here. Another Friday evening, again, New Year's Day, looks like something here in the central U.S., 2 to 4 inches, but getting all the way down into even Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri. So that's a little unusual. So that'll be something to watch here as we go late in the week. And then here into the weekend, it'll head toward Illinois and start to fizzle out a bit. We look at here next week, first full week of January. Again, just a tad cooler than last year, but again, so make it the coldest in 3 years, but still 9th hottest in 35 years, much above average national temperatures. Again, you see that kind of cold signature more toward the west, again, just because of the way the polar vortex is allowing a little bit of colder weather to move into the Asia, Japan, and spilling out into the Pacific. Wettest in 4, 17th wettest in 35. Still a below average week in terms of precip. Snowiest in 3 years as well, 17th most in 35 years, but also below average. We look at these world trends here for 28 December through 10 January, so this is a 2-week aggregate. We see, again, much of that cold weather is, again, central there in Russia and Siberia, Kazakhstan, much of China, even spilling again into Japan. Here in North America, again, you're hard-pressed to find any really major cold weather. Again, it'd be more toward the west, again, just due to that upstream cold Pacific conditions. Precip map inset left. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the year here, 2020, only a few days left, and a fantastic 2021. So God bless you, folks, and we will talk to you this time next week.